American F-15E fighter tried to deceive the radar of Russian Su-35. After a recent incident in the skies over the Baltic Sea, it became known that the U.S. Air Force F-15E fighters stationed in Estonia tried to deceive Russian Su-35 fighters and S-400 complexes. Despite the cunning of the U.S. military, Russia used its own means of electronic jamming. As a result, problems began already with the U.S. Air Force. It is known that during the flight of 3 military aircraft to the Kaliningrad region, the American F-15E fighter tried, due to the features of this modification, to stealthily get close to Russian aircraft, thereby bypassing not only their airborne radars, but also the S-400 air defense systems deployed on Russian western borders. However, such an attempt resulted in significant trouble for the United States, since Russian air defense systems easily detected an American combat aircraft. In addition, the onboard systems of the American fighter were suppressed by the electronic warfare of the Russian Su-35s, which were accompanied by 2 carriers of hypersonic missiles and a Tu-154 board of the Russian Defense Ministry. As a result, 2 escort fighters were not found. The United States, unwittingly, showed that the F-15E fighters are just as useless against Russian radars and air defense systems as the F-35. As a result of a cunning move by the United States, the aircraft was detected, and a pair of Russian Su-35s successfully drove it away, the expert marks. According to experts, the reason for deploying the U.S. Air Force F-15E in Estonia is precisely the intention to bypass Russian radars, although it is obvious that such efforts were in vain.
During another NATO provocation that was staged near the Russian borders, the Sukhoi Su-30SM fighter carried out the first recorded attack on a NATO F-35 aircraft. The Russian fighter used the Khibiny airborne complex for the maneuver. The pilot of the F-35 fighter later noted that it was the first time he had to confront a Russian Su-30SM fighter aircraft. When the F-35 covertly attempted to approach Russia's western borders, the Russian Su-30SM fighter jet appeared next to the NATO aircraft all of a sudden. After several attempts to drive the 5th-generation aircraft away from the Russian borders, the Su-30SM unexpectedly used its Khibiny onboard complex against the F-35. The Khibiny is a standard non-lethal weapon of the Russian fighter. This led to partial loss of control over the NATO aircraft. The incident did not end with the use of the weapon. Having lost control over the F-35, the pilot of the Russian aircraft began to take dangerous actions against the NATO fighter. The incident ended just as quickly as it started. The Russian fighter jet returned to the airbase and the NATO fighter was forced to return to the airbase in Estonia. After the incident, the alliance countries stopped using fifth-generation fighters near the Russian borders, not to provoke the Russian aerospace forces to tougher action.
The Russian electronic warfare system, Krasuka, 4, downed an Israeli F-35 fighter jet. Israeli F-35's electronics are destroyed by Russian Krasuka electronic warfare weapons. Despite claims by Western analysts that Russian electronic warfare systems stationed at the Khibiny air base, and according to these sources, the Krasuka, for electronic warfare systems, cannot suppress combat aircraft systems, it has been revealed that Israel is having serious problems with the F-35 fighters, which are being killed by Russian countermeasures and countermeasures. According to the Federal News Agency, Russian electronic warfare specialists are presently conducting experiments in Syria along the border with Israel in order to test electronic warfare systems on new American-made F-35 planes. It's unclear what kind of impact we're talking about, but the Avia resource previously reported on the functioning of an unknown electronic warfare system near the Golan Heights, Israeli-controlled Syrian territory, edition, with a range of roughly 100 to 150 kilometers. It should be noted that the IDF has indicated that Russian electronic warfare equipment interfere with GPS operations over Israeli land. Israeli authorities are growing concerned about the spread of Iranian-built surface-to-air missile systems in Syria, as well as the Syrian military's increased air defense capabilities, which have made it more difficult for the IDF to operate over the country. As part of an apparent agreement with Moscow, several of the recent putative Israeli attacks on Syria were purportedly carried out using surface-to-surface missiles rather than fighter jets, as the Russian-made air defenses were being used.
In this era, the electronic countermeasure (ECM) has an important role. This weapon is able to deactivate enemy electronics with electromagnetic waves or electromagnetic pulses (EMP). Megara countries such as the United States, North Korea, Russia and Iran can paralyze national defenses with electromagnetic weapons. Reported by Avia Pro, Russia has succeeded in creating Krasuka, an EMP technology weapons system capable of crippling F-35 and F-22 aircraft. In its performance, Krasuka showed its performance to shuffle GPS signals effectively and efficiently. With the GPS signal jammed, it is difficult for fighter jets like F-35 and F-16 to determine the target location. Based on Israeli sources withheld, Russia is trying to disrupt the GPS signals of the two most modern U.S. aircraft, namely the F-22 Raptor and F-35, as well as drones. Due to the disturbance, a side effect has emerged: the paralysis of GPS for civil aviation. Meanwhile, according to the national interest, the advantage of the Krasuka system is that it does not attack GPS based on land vehicles. This system only attacks air vehicles. Another advantage: Krasuka can send fake GPS signals that are 500 times stronger than the original signal, so that the attacking aircraft can lose direction for miles to its original target. According to Russian claims, the effective range for the Krasuka system is around 300 kilometers. The Krasuka is a Russian mobile, ground-based, electronic warfare (EU) system. This system is produced by the Kred Corporation on different wheeled platforms. The Krasuka's primary targets are airborne radio electronics, such as UAVs, and airborne systems guided by radar. The Krasuka has multiple applications in the Russian armed forces. The KRAS-UKH-A2 is intended to jam AWACS at ranges of up to 250 kilometers (160 miles). The KRAS-UKH-A2 is also able to jam other airborne radars, such as radar-guided missiles. The missiles, once jammed, are then provided a false target away from the original to ensure that the missiles are no longer a threat. The KRAS-UKH-A2 guards mobile high-priority targets such as the 9K720 Iskander SRBM. The KRAS-UKHA-4 broadband multifunctional jamming station is mounted on a BAS 6910-0224 axle chassis. Like the KRAS-UKHA-2, the KRAS-UKHA-4 counters AWACS and other airborne radar systems. The KRAS-UKHA-4 has the range to effectively disrupting low Earth orbit (LEO) satellites and can cause permanent damage to targeted radio-electronic devices. Ground-based radars are also a viable target for the KRAS-UKHA-4.
waxaad ku leedahay dalkaaga hooyo wana lama huraaniyay hagalii wax ugu qabo wana lama huraaniyay hagalii wax ugu qabo